Most people think a rental property is a house. Four walls, a roof, a tenant. But investors who study wealth see something different. They see a timeline. Because a rental property behaves very differently depending on when you look at it. Year 1 looks ordinary. Year 10 looks interesting. Year 20 looks powerful. And the transformation between those years is where the real story lies. Let us begin at the beginning. Year 1. An investor buys a property for $400,000. They provide an $80,000 down payment. The bank finances the remaining $320,000. At this moment, nothing looks impressive. The investor owns a house. The bank owns most of the loan. And the balance sheet is simple. Asset $400,000. Debt $320,000. Equity $80,000. Now tenants move in. They pay rent every month. $2,000 a rides. From the outside, this looks like income. But income is not the real event happening here. The real event is balance sheet movement. Because every rent payment pushes the financial structure slightly forward. Part of the rent pays expenses. Insurance. Taxes. Maintenance. The rest goes toward the mortgage. Inside the mortgage payment, something subtle happens. Principal reduction. The loan becomes slightly smaller. At first, the change is tiny, almost invisible. But time is quietly collecting these small changes. Now imagine year 3. The mortgage balance has dropped a little. Maybe $310,000. Not dramatic. But movement has started. Meanwhile, the property value might also shift. Housing markets move slowly. But demand grows with population. Construction costs rise. Neighborhoods develop. Assume a modest appreciation. 3% per year. Now the $400,000 property becomes roughly $437,000 after 3 years. Look again at the balance sheet. Asset value increased. Debt decreased. Equity widened. Now move forward. Year 7. More rent payments have arrived. More principal has been reduced. Perhaps the loan balance is around $290,000. At the same time, property value may approach $500,000. Now the investor's equity is roughly $210,000. The original investment was $80,000. Yet the ownership portion has grown significantly. But here's what makes this interesting. Most of this transformation happened quietly. There was no dramatic moment, no sudden breakthrough, just steady movement every month. Now imagine year 12. The neighborhood continues growing. Population expands. Housing demand increases. The property might now be worth around $570,000. Meanwhile, the mortgage balance could fall near $250,000. The balance sheet now looks very different from year one. Asset $570,000. Debt $250,000. Equity $320,000. Now pause for a moment. The investor originally committed $80,000, but now owns more than $300,000 in equity. And something else happened along the way. Cash flow. Even a modest surplus matters. Imagine the property produced $200 monthly after expenses. That equals $2,400 per year. Over 12 years, that becomes almost $30,000. Income generated by the asset itself. Now we reach year 20. And this is where the timeline reveals its full effect. The mortgage balance has declined significantly. Perhaps only $160,000 remains. Meanwhile, property value might approach $700,000. Now the balance sheet looks dramatically different from the beginning. Asset $700,000. Debt $160,000. Equity $540,000. All from an initial $80,000 investment. This is the moment when investors suddenly realize what the system actually did. The property was not just producing rent. It was quietly shifting ownership every month. From the bank to the investor. Tenant payments helped fund the transition. Market appreciation increased asset value. Time amplified both processes. And together they created something powerful. Equity expansion. Now imagine something else happening during this 20-year period. The investor did not stop with one property. After several years, they purchased another. Using savings or equity from the first property. Now two timelines were running simultaneously. Two properties. Two mortgages shrinking. Two assets growing. Then maybe a third property appeared later. Three timelines. Three equity expansions. each asset slowly rewriting the balance sheet. And this explains something fascinating about wealth. From the outside, it often looks sudden. Someone appears successful. Their portfolio looks large. Their net worth looks impressive. But the truth is usually different. The transformation happened gradually, over many years, through systems designed for long-term compounding. Real estate simply happens to be one of the clearest examples. Because its mechanics are predictable. Debt shrinks, assets grow, equity expands, and time multiplies the effect. This is why experienced investors rarely focus on quick wins. They focus on durable structures, structures that can operate for decades. Because once the system is running, the timeline does most of the work. If this timeline perspective helped you see real estate investing differently, consider subscribing to the channel, because understanding how wealth evolves over time is often the first step toward building it yourself.